How did you feel the debate went in the end? You feel it sort of got to grips with the issues?
To some extent, I think there are limits to what any debate can achieve, and to my mind, lots of misconceptions were still left floating in the air. But no, I thought it was a good exchange, and I thought it was a positive exchange. There was no rancour about it, and I thought there was a range of interesting contributions from the floor, like them or not. I thought they were all genuinely interesting.
And how do you respond to the accusations of neo-Malthusianism from your fellow panellist Patrick Hayes?
I think it's nonsensical in two ways. One is that it's based on a thorough misunderstanding of Malthus. Contrary to the stereotype, by his contemporaries, he was regarded as a kindly gentleman who wanted to help the poor and he wasn't a nasty person trying to chastise the poor, just the opposite, contrary to the stereotype. And what he was saying was identical to what many early socialist feminists in America were advocating, that all the poor people would be helped if they had fewer children. So there's nothing reactionary or fascist about what he was saying, because people on the left used to say it. And second, many more people other than Malthus have voiced concerns about population growth. And to try and tar them with what is a negative label, I don't think is a useful form of debating. It's just a smear tactic, basically.
Towards the end of the debate, it moved on to talk of voluntary contraception. To what extent do you think that actually in practice both sides of the debate may really agree with one another in terms of what they feel may be immediately necessary? Yeah.
I think there was common ground there. I think the other side of the debate didn't recognise the number of governments that are actually withdrawing contraception. In the Philippines is one example, or the number of governments that are offering rewards for large families. Quebec is an example in Canada, or the cultural pressures that exist in many countries for large families. But I think there is common ground that it's the best way forward. And it's a huge gap at present. I think, I don't know how they get these precise figures. I've heard 42%, 40%, whatever it is. Let's call it 41% of all births are unwanted births. And those women are having to cope with problems that they didn't have before. And often it does harm to their health. So, to my mind, that is the way forward. I'd probably go a bit further and say a lot of the incentives that have been given by governments like Quebec should actually be reversed, and they should give rewards for, how can I put it, a no-claims bonus for having no more than 2 kids. If it's fair to do one, it should be fair to do the other. I will say something utterly outrageous, which I didn't say in there, but I will bite the bullet. I support China's one-child policy. It's horrid, it's draconian. I wish it hadn't to be, but the Chinese government themselves say that there would be an extra 400 million people if it hadn't been for that policy. You've got to ask yourself, would China be a better or worse place if all those children had been born? The real issue was the previous government, the Maoist regime, which actively encouraged population growth. In a sense, that they brought the problem upon themselves. So I will bite the bullet and support China's policy. But let me stress before this gets edited, I wish it was not so. I deeply, deeply, deeply think it's a horrible thing to have had to do. But perhaps the consequences, the alternative, would have been worse than that horrible thing.
And finally, before I think we have to run into the next session,
of course.
Was there anything you really wished that the opposition had sort of focused on more? I mean, you sort of say
the one thing I wish they would have dropped was this either-or thing. It's either population, or it's behaviour and consumption, or it's technology. I think we have to have a multi-dimensional approach. It's never just one thing, and I think we should always say and instead of or. And the only reason why I stress population probably more than I would do is because there are people like Patrick who go out of their way to deny that numbers count.
Okay, thank you, Sandy.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.